Hello, good evening. It is your host, Emmanuel Isaiah Smith, and today's date is Wednesday, August 20th, 2025, and the time is 8:07 p.m. This video is entitled Cowardice. And the reason I have named this lecture Cowardice is because gangstalkers, their liaisons, their aims, their auspices, and their tactics are cowardly. The people that participate in gang stalking are cowards, and they're dumb. And the reason I call them stupid, cowardly, and dumb is because they are reckless in their actions with respect to the signal taking and the signal giving that they use to identify targeted persons for harassment, disease communication, attacks, sabotage, and subversion. What is a coward? The traditionally accepted definition of a coward is a person that is afraid, scared, or frightened of noble actions. For example, a soldier who abandons his troop in the middle of a war is considered a coward. This being the clearest definition that I can think of, because it is a person abandoning an important duty. Gang stalking is a national security blunder that was authorized by Congress, reauthorized by Congress, and reinforced by Congress over a 22-year period. A lot of the national security mechanisms that exist in the United States today are the result of post 9/11 national security legislation. At first, this legislation was aimed solely at potential terrorism actors. But later, these protocols were extended to United States citizens extrajudicially, without court orders, without court warrants, without a judicial process, including habeas corpus, for unidentified reasons. That makes the very premise of gang stalking cowardly, and all of its similar programs and functions, because they lack a noble cause and they are purely disruptive and hostile in their operation. In the 1960s, we saw a similar program, COINTELPRO Operation Hoodwink, which appeared to have an actual purpose, and that was to disrupt the activities of the Black Panther Party, the new Ku Klux Klan, and the American Communist Party, which the United States federal establishment in those days thought were disruptive to American sovereignty. I don't know if they were disruptive to American sovereignty or not. I was not around in the 1960s, so I can't tell you exactly what the climate was politically, economically, or socially in the United States. The federal establishment of the United States saw the above-named political actors as dangerous or otherwise a threat to national sovereignty. Ultimately, these political dissident programs were disrupted and eventually dissolved internally by the COINTELPRO Operation Hoodwink platform. I'm not saying COINTELPRO's Operation Hoodwink was right or wrong. I simply know what its auspices were. Gangstalking, however, being the progeny of the COINTELPRO program, and I say that with respect to its operation, is cowardly because it extrajudicially targets United States citizens for thuggish disruption protocols with no clear reason as to why these thuggish protocols are in place. And I'm going to address the various actors in my gangstalking campaign directly. I'm done identifying you because you know who you are by now, and I've done several videos identifying you. You won't identify yourself because you're too cowardly to show me your credentials. And since you're too cowardly to show me your credentials, I'm going to go ahead and label you as nothing more than a cowardly militia agitation unit. Now you continue doing what you're doing at the threat of making the United States of America look terrible. But you're such a coward that you don't appear to care at all how your program makes the United States look. Me and my significant other, Lori, have to put up with your cowardice on a daily basis. Your gun-wielding, signal-giving disruptors. You're ape-like in your operation, and you conduct yourselves like criminals. I wish you had the audacity to look me in my face and show me your credentials so I could tell you to your face what I think about you. But since you're too much of a coward to look me in the face, you'd rather signal some thug to approach me, then I'm going to have to call you a coward over the air. And that's what I'm doing right here and now. I'm calling everyone that I have classified as gangstalkers, regardless of what occupation you hold. I'm calling you cowards. I'm calling you useless. I'm calling you thugs. And I'm calling you degenerates. I'm calling you deleterious to the human race. I'm questioning your humanity. I'm questioning your judgment. And I'm questioning your mental capacity also. I think that you're sneaky. I think you're deceptive. I think you're harmful. I think you're deleterious. I think you're biohazards. And I think you're horrible generally. And to add to that, I don't care what happens to you. I don't. If Congress had the spine to repeal this program called gangstalking immediately, all of everything that you do, the cowardice would dissolve and go away with you. But because Congress has not even had the wherewithal to address gangstalking publicly, you get to operate. And you're going to continue operating because that's the coward that you are. You like the feeling of being above the law. You like the feeling of being able to harm people without recourse. You like the feeling of being able to pester people based on factors that you deem appropriate, but that no one else probably does. Alright? You like the capacity to dispatch thugs left and right to approach me day or night with no cause or consideration for decency or the rule of law. You pass germs to people systematically. You have polluted society with your presence. And you operate in such a way that undermines civilization. You're disgusting, you're horrifying, and you're cowards. The attacks you level on unsuspecting United States citizens make you, in my opinion, lower than a dog. And let me tell you, gangstalkers, something else. A lot of you operate with faculties that are lower than insects. I tell you to go climb a tree because I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want anything to do with you. You or your cohorts, regardless of any governmental, semi-governmental, or corporate affiliation that they have. This is what I thought about you from the beginning. This is what I think about you now. And this is what I think about you in the future. You are nothing but disruptors. And the auspices you use are thuggish. You operate off of false narratives, false threats, and gossip. You are ignorant to who it is you're terrorizing, and I consider you to be domestic terrorists. And I wish you weren't the kinds of cowards that you are. I wish you had the capacity to look me in the face and show me your official credentials. But you don't. And the reason you don't is because you like operating from behind the shadows. And anyone who I've addressed like this in previous videos, I'm addressing you like this again. Regardless of your affiliation. Okay? Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I said that if you were responsible, I didn't mind you surveilling me, but it's obvious you're not responsible. The United States of America is not responsible, and all the little thugs, these little covert thugs you got running around here, they're not responsible either. So I rescind what I said previously about me being okay with responsible domestic watchers watching me. I rescind that. And the reason I rescind that comment is because it's clear to me now that you are not responsible, that you are thugs, and that you have control over other thugs that you signal to targeted persons to do thuggish things to and around them. The false narratives that you create are dumb. They are not rooted in reality. They are not rooted in noble causes. They're not rooted in the U.S. Constitution, and they're not rooted in the rule of law. That makes you, in my opinion, an illegal, illegitimate, thuggish political actor. You attack people with diseases, bacteria, germs, and other disgusting features. And that's because you and what you believe in are disgusting. The obstacle courses that you set up with human beings are disgusting. The kinds of things that you bring to a targeted person's plane of view are disgusting. The kinds of things you mumble around targeted persons to try and demoralize him are disgusting. The kinds of things that you do to make a targeted person's day-to-day movements more difficult than they would be without you around are disgusting. I believe you are beyond disgusting. You and every auxiliary that you are under the authority of, federal, state, or local. You're disgusting. And the people you mobilize are disgusting. The things they do, disgusting. Your belief that you are able to execute at will harm to a person with little to no justification or justification based on false narratives is disgusting. The fact that your program can only operate if you continue false narratives against a person is disgusting. Your spying mechanism and the spying mechanism that you allow other U.S. citizens to participate in, regardless of if they are part of any government auxiliary or not, is disgusting. The snooping mechanism that you do on people to collect their data, even though there is no court warrant for it, is disgusting. The violence you bring around a targeted person, using people who are likely to use violence against that targeted person, even if that targeted person does not use the threat of violence against them, is disgusting. Your cowardice is lowlife, and it is disgusting. The mechanisms that you use to destabilize a targeted person at work are disgusting. The intimidation tactics you use, disgusting. The ability to hack a person's personal computer so you can steal their work off of it and pass it off as your own, disgusting. The fact that you use mobs of people against a target so that your people, while mobbing them, will be safer is disgusting. Yes, I'm calling you cowards, and I'm calling it to you as plainly as I possibly can. And anyone who is illegally monitoring me right now, simply so you'll have more of a pretext to do harm to me or anyone, particularly my significant other, you are disgusting. You're useless and you're a coward. As far as I'm concerned, you and the people you work with are pieces of garbage. You do not have the personal faculties to go about your life the way any person goes about their life, and that is to live and let live. You want to use whatever official capacity you have to get as close to me or my significant other as you possibly can, so you'll have more of an opportunity to either harm us or pass germs to us. Knowingly and willingly using your bodies and bodily functions as organized disease projectiles. You are a disease-spreading bioterrorist, and you are disgusting. You gangstalkers, the one that you keep popping up out of nowhere, operating off of signals, you're terrorists. There's no telling how many American citizens you have caused to lose their life because of your meddling and the signals that you take to find out where a person is so you can get close to them to cause them harm. the false narratives you paint about the things people do and say so you can continue to harass and pester them or use other people to harass and pester them is disgusting. You do it to men, women, or children out of hate, maliciousness, and self-loathing. And the reason you all pester people the way you do is because you hate yourself. You are good at dodging accountability. You will not accept blame. And when this program is finally dismantled at the federal level, you will scurry off back into the holes that you came from with your heads held down in shame for the crimes against humanity that you perpetrate daily against U.S. citizens who have not been pre-warned about your presence. You're afraid to show your credentials. You are a coward. You are germ-wielding, violent, sneaky, behind-the-scenes acting cowards. And the people you have around me listening to what I say who don't know 2 + 2, okay, they don't know what they're hearing, they don't know what they're seeing, they're simply just looking at me and listening to a few seconds of what I have to say and then running off with a false narrative. They're thugs. The people you have containing me on a daily basis, following me from place to place, causing me issues, trying to disrupt my daily movements, they're thugs. You all who are constantly nitpicking through my project looking for stuff to feel threatened about, you are a thug. You hackers that are looking to rip off my work, you're thugs. All you who I knew 20 to 25 years ago who are popping up out of nowhere wearing disguises, snooping on me from a distance with gangstalkers, you're thugs. The United States Congress over the past 22 years has literally given the national security apparatus and intelligence apparatus in this country a blank check to issue and participate in and also orchestrate acts of extreme cowardice and thuggery. Your signaling mechanism is poorly implemented. It's thuggish, and it's aimed at doing nothing but disrupting or harming a person. You guys are disease-spreading thugs. You are germ-wielding parasites. And you are clandestine operators of chaos. And yes, you are domestic terrorists. There's no telling how many United States citizens have fallen to this program because of your thuggish auspices. You not only make America look bad as a governmental entity, you make humanity look bad. You have shown what human beings are capable of when they totally embrace degeneracy. You have shown the absolute depths that human beings are capable of stooping to in order to get the better of their fellow man. Early political scientists were talking about you, operatives, when they said that the natural inclination of man is to do evil and not good, therefore we need governments. You have shown why we have governments, why we have laws, so that guys like you, who are constantly using secret mechanisms and government resources to terrorize people, can be punished for their crimes against humanity. You disgust me. You disgust my significant other, a woman of great virtue and courage, intelligence and beauty. You attack our sovereignty as U.S. citizens, and you do it from behind closed doors. You cowards. The United States Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Magna Carta before these asserted that everyone born into this country has the right to life, liberty, and happiness. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. If you try to muddle that and make it so that you get to decide through backdoor clandestine operations who gets to prosper in this country and who doesn't, that makes you a murderer. Because you're restricting people's ability to live life. That makes you a taker of life. That makes you a killer. It makes you a homicidal maniac. And my significant other and I are not affiliated with you. We're not friends with you. We don't support what you do, and we don't participate in the thuggery that you bring around. Now, the United States federal government has authorized extreme acts of thuggery, extreme acts of cowardice over the past 22 years that threaten the sovereignty of each and every citizen here in the United States. Anytime a government decides who gets to move about freely and who does not, that government is a tyrannical piece of trash, a non-entity, and an illegitimate government. People that participate in gang stalking, it's personnel mobilization, it's community harassment, it's signaling mechanisms. Particularly those signaling mechanisms that draw thugs, disruptors, and infected persons to a targeted person's exact location. You're disgusting. And typically what you all do is, you cowards, when I issue a challenge to you to look me in the face and show me your credentials, you don't. You send a representative who takes signals and practices gang stalking to me to look me in the eyes and attempt to get me sick with one of the derived germs you people spread. And I'm glad that social media exists so I can tell you just what I think about you on a platform that is public so the whole world can see it. So the whole world can hear it. So the whole world can understand it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I generally do these discourses outside, so you will have to bear with me as I raise my voice to drown out the background noise. Adjust your volumes accordingly. The United States is a country of laws. Although it is apparently the case now that the laws on the books can be circumvented by degenerate cowards. Those of you that believe you have federal, state, or local mandates to terrorize me and or my significant other, you are disgusting thugs. Those of you who surveil my discourses and broadcast them to a wide audience for no reason other than to make me look bad or try and find a reason to feel threatened, you are a coward. Those of you who signal medical staff to give a targeted person poor medical care, you are a thug. To those of you who come around with your disgust in an attempt to pollute or contaminate my air, you are a degenerate coward. And this video is going to go up so the whole world can hear what I have to say about you. This is the effect your program has on the American mind, particularly the American mind who is independent and loves its freedoms. I don't know how many United States citizens participate in gang stalking. I quite frankly do not care at this point. You all act the same. You all use the same signaling mechanisms, and you are cowardly, thuggish, degenerate animals, and you are agitators. You infiltrate the biorhythm, indeed the very life, of unsuspecting citizens using cowardly, aggressive thug tactics. And regardless of your socioeconomic background, regardless of your demographic, regardless of your background, regardless of who you are or where you're going, you are a derelict. Because you use a cowardly signaling mechanism in an attempt to find people to harm. That makes you a felon. You're a felonious assaulter. You're an attempted murderer. You're a degenerate piece of scum, and you're a piece of trash. You rely on the community around you to give you signaling mechanisms to try and physically and psychologically harm me and my significant other, who is presently not here with me, but in another part of the county. Deal with your thuggery on a daily basis. You're aggressive, violent, hateful, deleterious, stupid, false narrative creating thugs. And that concludes this discourse on extreme cowardice.